There was no trumpet to announce it, there was no public celebration or extravagant royal broadcast, but the message was loud and the shock came quickly. A royal title only given to the Queen Consort was recently bestowed upon Catherine, Princess of Wales. How about Camilla? According to reports, her private outburst was so explosive that aides had to leave the room. It was first mentioned in passing in the court circular, which is the official royal record of engagements and honors, but within hours, media outlets and royal watchers recognized that Catherine had received a title that many believed Queen Camilla would receive. This was more than just an honor. It signified a transfer of power, whether it was the patronage of a symbolic royal order or the colonel-in-chief of a historic regiment that had previously been commanded by Queen Elizabeth. A new royal reality was taking shape, one that was much more representative of the general public than the preferences of the crown. Sources inside the palace claim that the decision was made under pressure and with precision. King Charles had to decide between his growing love for his daughter-in-law and his loyalty to his wife. The one princess who has remained scandal-free, unflappable, and well-respected, Catherine, was finally given the title by him. Insiders claim that Camilla was taken by surprise. Furthermore, the title wasn't the only thing that resonated. The message was that Catherine is now acknowledged by the palace, the media, and the populace as the real representation of the future of the monarchy. Not the current queen, but for the future, it was about legacy, trust, and aesthetics rather than just tradition. Catherine and Camilla, a controversial holdover from a time the company is desperately trying to move past, have emerged as the monarchy's most valuable assets in a world where its survival depends on public support. Tensions between the two women had been simmering in silence for years. However, everything became clear at this precise moment, this symbolic shifting of the guard. The world now knows who truly commands the loyalty of the populace, even though the queen may wear the crown. And Camilla's response says it all. This is the tale of Catherine's discreet assumption of a role that Camilla had assumed would always belong to her, and the royal title that, redrawn the boundaries within the House of Windsor, you must first comprehend the two women at the center of the palace's decision in order to fully appreciate its significance. Many now consider Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Camilla Parker, BS, now Queen Consort, to be the true future of the monarchy. Despite the stark differences in their stories, they have always been secretly connected, stalking each other in the royal spotlight as one rose to prominence while the other battled to hold on to her position. There has always been tension and complexity in Camilla's relationship with the crown. Her entry into the royal family was not well received. Rather, scandal thrust her into the public eye. She has never fully recovered from the shadow cast by her decades-long affair with Prince Charles, which occurred when he was married to the adored Princess Diana. She was viewed by the world for years as the other woman, the home wrecker who brought Diana's happy ending to a sad conclusion. Even after she married Charles in 2005, Camilla had a hard time being accepted. She stayed out of the spotlight, performed few public tasks, and was regularly left out of important ceremonial gatherings. Only in the final years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign was Camilla officially acknowledged as the future Queen Consort, a decision that caused many royal loyalists to disagree. Even though her title changed, millions of people never saw a significant improvement in her reputation. Then came Catherine. From the beginning, Catherine Middleton approached royal life with composure and discipline. She didn't come from a noble family. She didn't come from an affluent or distinguished family. Unlike Camilla, she had time. It took years to become familiar with the procedures, build a reputation, and forge close bonds with the British people. She waited calmly for confirmation of her location close to William. She became the epitome of contemporary monarchy when it was. There are no errors or scandals. Catherine has never acted inappropriately, misled the press, or blundered in front of the cameras. While staying out of the spotlight, she has raised 3 royal children and promoted causes related to addiction recovery, early childhood development, and mental health. She is adored by the media. The public holds her in high regard. Most importantly, the palace has faith in her. Catherine secretly developed genuine admiration, whereas Camilla spent years learning reluctant tolerance. The tension is there. The underlying rivalry between the Princess of Wales and the Queen Consort has long been discussed by insiders. It's real, but don't be overt or messy. Position is more important than personality alone. Although Camilla is supposedly higher in the hierarchy, Catherine has far more public support than she does. According to polls, Catherine is one of the most adored royals, perhaps even more so than Princess Diana herself, and second only to the late Queen. However, Camilla is still fighting for favor. She is seen by many as a relic from the past, the final reminder of the darkest period in the royal family's history. It's simple to imagine what it would have been like if Camilla had thought her job would be secure in the recent past, particularly following Queen Elizabeth's passing. She believed she had finally emerged from Diana's shadow as queen consort. Catherine's ascent has been slow, steady, and unstoppable. She doesn't take part in contests, she doesn't push, she just shows up and wins people over. The difference between them has never been more obvious than it is now that the palace has given Catherine a title that, by all accounts, should have gone to Camilla. One woman married into a position of authority and tried to defend it all her life. The other succeeded in spite of receiving nothing. The recent action by the company demonstrates that the Princess of Wales, not the Queen Consort, is in charge of the monarchy's future. Catherine has the future, even though Camilla currently holds the throne. Additionally, the palace isn't acting fake for the first time. A subtle notation in the court circular marked the start of the procedure. There was no fanfare, no news conference, and no pictures of happy people. A brief entry announcing the appointment of Catherine, Princess of Wales, as Colonel and Chief of the Grenadier Guards, one of the most illustrious regiments in the British Army with a rich royal heritage that was once thought to belong to Queen Camilla. It appeared to the average reader to be a ceremonial shuffle. However, it was a turning point and a clear indication of who the monarchy now considered to be its most valuable female figurehead for those who understood the significance of royal tradition. Prince Philip, who served in that capacity for almost 70 years, is historically linked to the Grenadier Guards. Following his passing, the position became symbolically open, and everyone's eyes were on Camilla, who is now queen consort, as the most likely heir. Ultimately, senior royals, especially those at the top of the monarchy, have historically held the position. Camilla would have been automatically assigned to such a role in the past. However, that was not the case. Senior military advisors and representatives of King Charles's palace agreed in a private meeting weeks prior to the announcement that Catherine would be honored, not Camilla, and not out of custom or preference, but rather because Catherine had won the respect and admiration of the military and the public in ways Camilla had not. Although the king personally approved the decision, those with knowledge of the situation say there was some debate. According to insiders, Camilla thought the job was hers. In addition to scheduling rough dates for her appearances with the guards, she had already begun organizing the uniform fittings. The phone call, however, was short, cold, and straightforward. The crown had gone to Catherine. Behind closed doors, there was anger. With a clipped and resentful tone, Camilla's assistants described her as clearly shaken. As queen consort, she had thought she had at last reached the pinnacle of royal authority, but this choice served as a reminder to her and the rest of the world that the public face of the monarchy now belonged to someone else. The Grenadier Guards are more than just a regiment. They represent power, allegiance, and patriotism. Palace had given Catherine a piece of royal history that she was never supposed to have by assigning her the role. Still, it fits well. Commanders had praised Catherine for her sincere interest in and commitment to the military, and she had discreetly attended military functions and interacted with veteran communities. She was trusted by the public, loved by the media, and revered by the soldiers. Despite her position, Camilla had never been able to establish the same connection. There was more to this than a uniform. Identity, the monarchy's future image, and the woman the firm believed would best continue the crown's legacy were all at stake. Catherine earned the position. She didn't apply for it. The palace made it clear that the outdated customs of formality and seniority were no longer applicable when it granted it to her. Now, it was the people who were important. They had already made up their minds. The repercussions were instantaneous behind the palace's spotless exterior, marble floors, pressed uniforms, and perfectly manicured smiles, and Queen Camilla's response was nothing short of explosive. Several palace aides claim that Camilla met behind closed doors with one of King Charles's top advisors to confirm the decision. Her entire demeanor changed when she heard Catherine's name instead of her own. According to one assistant, there was a jarring silence that sliced through the room's atmosphere. Then there was the outburst. What was mine was taken by her. According to reports, Camilla hissed, her voice shaking with anger and incredulity. She had waited patiently for Charles to win back the public's favor for years, played the long game, put up with the rumors, and put up with being compared to Diana. And now, as she was starting to feel comfortable in her role as queen consort, the woman who had always subtly challenged her position sidelined her once more, Catherine Camilla had observed a change in public opinion. The compliments Catherine got following each engagement, while Camilla the usurper persisted in comment sections years after her coronation, the way crowds leaned in slightly closer when she passed hashtags like Queen Catherine was trending on social media. As Catherine was given a historical title that was closely linked to royal ancestry, national pride, and the memory of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, Camilla felt the walls closing in. When a longtime assistant came clean, she was furious. Not in a showy manner, her eyes are cold, but she doesn't scream. "After everything I've done, they still treat me like I don't belong," she remarked. Camilla was mortified. The Queen allegedly claimed exhaustion and a previous commitment as reasons for canceling 2 meetings that afternoon and declining to attend a planned event that evening. Even worse, King Charles did not challenge the decision. Camilla had expected her husband to oppose any action that would diminish her reputation, but according to insiders, Charles remained icily impartial and told her it was the best course of action for the family. Above all, that phrase is said to have crushed her. She had lost the king's defense in addition to the title. Camilla allegedly complained to a close friend over the phone later that night, suggesting that the palace was planning her demise to make room for the following generation. She informed sources, "They want Catherine to wear the crown in all but name, and they want me out of sight before anybody notices." Those closest to Camilla claim that she has never felt more deceived. The public's opinion, the firm's cautious, hesitant acceptance, and the ghost of Diana had all been obstacles she had long battled to overcome. The rug was torn once more right after she believed she had succeeded. The title wasn't changed. The transfer of power revealed her weakness and served as a reminder that despite her title as queen, she was never chosen by the populace. Abruptly, the palace started acting like it. Catherine maintained her usual composure, poise, and silence as Camilla raged behind the palace gates. No smug smile for the cameras, no victory lap, and no statement from her office were present. During a quick royal outing, she was asked about her new title. She just nodded and continued. However, people who know Catherine say that since this was about legacy and not noise, she didn't need to say anything. Catherine never tried to be heard or seen, in contrast to many people who married into the royal line. Rather, she mastered the art of strategic silence, letting her work, poise, and actions do the talking. Royal insiders claim that Catherine studied the demands of her future position in private for months, talking to historians, former aides, and even members of the armed forces to learn what it meant to be a true representative of the crown. She not only became his fiancée when William proposed to her, but she also studied under the monarchy. When she finally entered the public eye, she did so in total control. Catherine would go on to reshape the ideal of a contemporary royal in the years that followed. Authenticity, not reimagining. She infused hospital visits with warmth, charitable work with elegance, and state affairs with quiet strength. She was never political or theatrical, and despite the stumbles, leaks, and rebellions of those around her, Catherine stayed the same. She remained steadfast, never publicly criticizing or splitting ranks. Even during the most tragic occasions, including the departure of Meghan and Harry, the Queen's passing, and Charles's controversial coronation. Her loyalty to the monarchy was steady but quiet. The palace listened. Aides started calling her the quiet queen-in-waiting behind closed doors. She had developed into the monarchy's most reliable aide and a representation of the stability and elegance for which the late Queen Elizabeth II was known. She earned the title that is currently in the news thanks to these qualities. Being the Colonel-Chief of the Grenadier Guards is more than just a formal role. It has symbolic significance as a symbol of the military honor, strength, and tradition of the crown. Over the years, Catherine had established genuine trust in the military. She was an obvious choice because of her commitment to military families, genuine bond with service members, and regular attendance at remembrance events. Camilla wasn't ignored. It was a recognition based on merit. Camilla demanded respect through her position, while Catherine instilled it through her presence. A former courtier claims that Elizabeth II secretly supported Catherine's rise and told a confidant as much. It's not what she says that makes me think of myself, but rather what she doesn't say. And that's the reason Catherine is so strong. Prestige is not something she needs to aim for. She receives it for free from the nation. She conveys that she is more than just the Princess of Wales with each wave, smile, and well-chosen comment. She is the moral core of the monarchy. With this title, the palace has now verified the suspicions of millions of people. Catherine exemplified the royal family. She did not marry into it.